If you're anything like me, you like the idea of using a planner, but you like the idea of being organized and productive even more. Over the past decade, probably longer if I'm being honest, I have tried many planners and many systems, from Erin Condren and the Happy Planner to Plum Papers, Notion, Daily Greatness Planner, and honestly, like probably many others. I've tried so many options because I felt like I just haven't found the planner for me. I haven't quite found the planner system that will make me a planner. Elements of these systems have worked, but I haven't stuck with anything consistently. And time again, or more like year after year, what happens is that a new year comes around and I'll say, time to try again. Maybe, just maybe this year will be different. Planners are tools that can help us achieve our goals, but we don't just buy planners for that purpose. What can also draw us into buying planners are the aesthetics, but also our aspirations for ourselves, our hopes and our dreams of being more productive and efficient people, more organized people. And I think these factors play a large role as to why folks buy planners. About a month ago, I started bullet journaling, and I want to share that experience with you today. I don't just want to say, oh, here's how bullet journaling went. I'm going to spend the majority of this conversation talking about how I believe bullet journaling to be the best option, or perhaps the answer to overconsumption in hobbies, specifically in the planner space, but also how I think it's the best tool out there to help folks be consistent or develop consistency in their planner usage. So I will be sharing like real life, real world, snippets of my bullet journal or how I've been bullet journaling. And I'll also share my own experience in terms of like consistency and how I feel it's different than like regular style journals or productivity systems. We'll talk a little bit about the basics and like concepts of bullet journaling. And I really hope that if you're somebody who has either wanted to try journaling or you wanted to try planning, or perhaps you've planned in the past or you're currently planning and something is just not working for you, I hope that this video finds you. Before we continue, we do have to talk about overconsumption in the planner space, because planning is a consumer-based hobby, or it's a hobby or an activity that you use stuff up in. If you do nothing, like if you buy no supplies, you're at the very least going to use up a planner, or at least that's the goal, that you will use your planner. But there are other facets to planning that makes it like ripe for overconsumption. Not only are there tools and supplies like rulers and pens and markers and highlighters, but there's also stickers. Regular planners, like traditional planners, they love their stickers. Stickers have made their way into the bullet journaling realm, but they're still way more popular in traditional planners. In my opinion, when it comes to hobbies, buying supplies for journals, planners, and like decorations for those things are some of the easiest like pills to swallow, if not the easiest, because planning on the surface is like, it's good for me. It's a good idea. Being organized is a good idea. We can rationalize in our minds that we're doing something good for ourselves. We're doing ourselves a favor. Like we're maybe even taking care of ourselves. Like there's such good, like positive intentions behind many of the planner supplies purchases. We feel good doing it is what I'm trying to say. Like we feel good buying supplies or decorations, what have you, for planners. And having planning as a hobby can feel very similar, even if you are over consuming. But I do think that there's an element of maybe like necessity or self-development or like personal growth, self-care that is perhaps more obvious, more at the forefront with something like planning. Like being organized is a good thing, perhaps even a necessity. Whereas like buying nice clothes or participating in beauty doesn't quite feel so obvious and overt. Sure, if you have a beauty hobby or like you really enjoy wearing or playing with makeup, it can be an act of self-care, relaxing, soothing anxiety, or just like fun playtime. But I just think on a surface level, when you are thinking about planning versus other hobbies, the necessity or good for you nature is much more upfront, much more obvious. Therefore, we feel better doing it, spending money in it, or even potentially overspending. And that's exactly how I think people can get into overspending when it comes to planners and journals, because you can start with the best of intentions. I want to plan, I want to get organized. Maybe you buy a couple of cute things to motivate you, which is very common. And then those couple of well-intended purchases snowball, and then you have like sticker books and packs of washi tape, and you have drawers full of stuff, and then you can't manage it, and then it's like out of control of it. I also think that the cost of goods in this space kind of facilitates overconsumption as well. You can buy a sticker sheet from a small independently owned creator or shop for $2 to $4, and you can buy a sticker book with somewhere between 400 and 1,000 stickers from somewhere between $20 and $30. I've seen big sticker books from creators that they made themselves sell for about $33 USD. You get somewhere between like 600 and 900 stickers. Comparatively, you can buy 900 stickers, or you could buy a blush. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like more value. I think on the service level, you can get more. Like 900 stickers is so much. Could you get 900 uses out of a blush? I don't know. Also, stickers don't really go bad. Like, you can have stickers for 5 years and they'll be fine. Whereas a lot of makeup will expire in 5 years. Definitely not all makeup, but I hope you get the comparison. I've mainly been talking about the standard planner, like the pre-dated planner. But I also think it's easy to overconsume in the bullet journaling space, and there is crossover between the bullet journals and the traditional planners. I think, though, when it comes to overconsuming in the bullet journal space, the risk, if you will, or the more likely method is going to be in art supplies. The markers, the pens, the pencil crayons, that kind of thing. And most bullet journalers that you see on YouTube, they have loads of supplies, usually markers, pens, washi tape. Even though that's the case, I do argue that bullet journaling is the best method for developing a consistent journaling practice, or I should say planning practice, potentially journaling as well, but also it's the route that I think where you can avoid the consuming traps, or the traps of consuming when you start a new hobby. I just think it's easier, and I'm going to tell you why for both of those things. Bullet journaling is essentially a customizable planning system. And according to bulletjournaling.com, they call it a mindful practice that works like a productivity system. So I'm actually going to link their website and their description of the system, because me describing all of the different kinds of content that you could put in, that's a whole video. And there's lots of videos too, if you want to watch this, about people who are way more experienced than me, who have set up bullet journals, what they kind of consider essential spreads. And also there's lots of videos on how to do it with minimal supplies. So I will link options below. The number one reason why I wanted to try bullet journaling is because at its core, it's a no frills system, and it is extremely flexible. You do not need anything besides a book and a pen in order to do this, and I will touch more on that later. And you have full control over how you plan, what you plan, and the spreads that you have. And what I've noticed with my own planning system, which became abundantly clear in March, is that I find traditional planners to be functionally useless, or they don't have the function in my life that they are intended for. When I was thinking about my planner and why I wasn't using it, I guess what also kind of was in the back of my mind when I started watching bullet journaling videos was that I was frustrated with my planner. This planner has a lot of pre-planning kind of thinking spreads, like some awareness and self-discovery questions. What am I good at? What brings me joy and good feelings in life? What's most important in my life? What does success look like to me? Then there's a journey that you can plan in all the areas of your life, like personal development, career and business, finance, relationships, etc., etc. You get to set a vision for yourself. You get to set goals and tactics. It's some really good stuff. It's also the months are blank, so you get to date them yourself. And then on each month, there's like monthly goals, things I'll do to make this month great. You have a bunch of those. And then you have your weeks. So a week it's just like on one side you have this, which is like the Monday to Sunday. And then on the other side, you have this section, which is all the stuff to like make your week great with intention. Right? So you have goals and habits, to-do lists for work and personal. All of that seems good on the surface level, but I have two problems with this. On the planning side, all of this is filled, like it's pre-spaced. So you have a finite amount of room over how much you can write. What I found, personally speaking, is that most especially when I've worked a 9 to 5, is that majority of my day doesn't need planning like the 9 to 5. The only times of the day that do need planning would be like maybe the hour or two before work or the couple of hours after work and the weekend. I don't need a planner for work. So what would happen is that the stuff that like matters to me, like my own work or exercise or time with my partner, things like that, events, that's all after work. And there's only so much I could get done in a day. During a work day, the most I could do would be like edit a single YouTube video. That's if I'm lucky. Or like to write one thing or to work on part of a script. With like the making dinner and dishes and working out and all of that kind of stuff, you don't get a lot of room in an average work day to work on all of that stuff. So I would know, all right, today I'm gonna work on a YouTube video. So I'm editing my video Tuesday. That's Tuesday's task. And I know like the one kind of task that I have to do. So all of this extra space is a bit useless. What do I need this space for? So I would choose not to go into my planner because it just felt like a waste of time. I know I'm editing a video today, or I know I'm filming videos on Friday. Every time I stopped using my planner, it wasn't because I fell off. It was because I would choose not to write in my planner because there was no real function. The other side of the page, to me, just felt so redundant week after week because my goals are largely the same, and all of that stuff at the bottom, like lessons I'll learn or try something new. Girl, I don't need to try something new every week. Like that doesn't need to be the case. And that doesn't really, it's just for the sake of it. This stuff all seems good on paper, but it is not how my brain works. When you go to a traditional planner, you might have some of this stuff. Like I know Happy Planner is like a dashboard layout where I think every week you get, it's kind of something like this. Not quite as in depth. It's also pretty big. Like I don't like the size of this thing. I did choose to get an undated planner. So if I miss a week or a month, like it's not a big deal. I can just pick up next week. But what happens is that I will stop mid-week in using my planner for all the reasons that I've said. I know what I'm doing. However, using nothing is also not the answer because I do feel like I could use my time more wisely. There's stuff that I would like to get done, but doesn't get done when I'm not planning. I've also dabbled with the 12-week year. I'm currently in the midst of like one of the sessions. I didn't do one for Q1. I'm in one for Q2. And I do like 12-week year, but it kind of gives you the steps or how I've created mine on Notion. Is it gives me the tasks I have to do, but you yourself need to put them places. You still have to place those segments in your week. For all these reasons, I tried bullet journaling, and I like the idea of bullet journaling where like as soon as I saw some videos, like certain things that people have added just make way more sense in my mind. And then you also get the option of trying new ideas and iterating. When you buy a planner, you're stuck with that layout. It is what it is. So if it doesn't work out, you're stuck with it for a year, like your money is already gone. And then what? Like you don't use it or you buy something new and you spend more money. If something doesn't work out bullet journaling, you try again next week. And then you get to iterate, like you get to learn stuff and then literally apply it the next day or the next week. And so what I've learned over my short month of bullet journaling is that when I'm busier, I like something called the master task list, or when I'm more stressed or feeling more anxious, then I can put the master task list in. I'll show you, I promise. And then when I know exactly what I want to do, I have it like in my mind, I know what I need to do, what I want to do. The master task list is annoying to look at. I don't care. I don't want to see it. I just want to like get straight to business. I get to make those choices week by week, which is chef's kiss. The biggest thing I have loved, the fiery burning passion, is that I get to fill in as I go. This is the current week that we're in. Okay, here's like 2 weeks ago. We have Monday, this side. We have Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Thursday, I typically recently have been filming and stuff. My job today is film. I don't need to really use it. And it doesn't bother me to miss a day. So I get to write in as I go, and I get to take up as much space as I need. Like Monday, tiny. Tuesday, sorry, she's creaky. When I was watching bullet journaling videos, a lot of the bullet journalers had really beautiful art and stuff, and I was intimidated. And I kind of felt like I had no business doing a bullet journal when I'm not an artist. I don't draw, nor learning to draw is something I would like to do, but that's not on the next week's list or the next month's list or even this year's list. And that's not something that is important to my journal or my use of this stuff at this time. So in some ways, it made me kind of feel like I shouldn't participate or like it wasn't for me. But then I found other journals, other planners, bullet journalers like Simi Ariarte, which I talked about recently. They are a strict pen and paper, they're just pen and paper, and it's just for functionality. So over the past month, I have watched videos and I have learned a bit about what kind of videos to watch for me personally, where I can take inspiration but not feel like shit about my own bullet journal. There's some people, I have a couple of ones like Jashi Koren. She has a ton of functional videos about how to set up a bullet journal or how to use it really functionally, but she also has some kind of more designy ones. Now let's talk about why I think bullet journaling is the best method for establishing a planning habit. The one thing that we need to remember is that new stuff won't make you do new things. Just because you buy a new planner does not mean that you will become a planner or that you are suddenly a planner. So to build a journaling habit, you need to get in the practice of doing it every single day. Now, I think bullet journaling is superior for that. One, because of the size. This is an A5, and this is the typical or most common size of a bullet journal, even though there are other sizes you could use, like a traveler's notebook size. They're kind of tall and skinny. Planners, yes, there are smaller planner sizes, but I feel like this size here is perhaps the more common planner size. When you get a bullet journal, you do not need to, or when you first start using a bullet journal, you don't need to set up the front matter. In my opinion, you can just jump right into a month or a weekly spread. I will show you mine. This was my art journal, and I just picked up randomly. I literally just created a section. I put some quote to practice some lettering, and then I put the Bujo experiment. This is a list of all the stuff I wanted in my bullet journal, or kind of notes on what I've seen other people have. I wanted a master task list, and I wanted it to be beside a weekly or daily log. I wanted monthly/weekly goals, eventually quarter if I get there. I put in some ideas about what could go beside each other. I wanted a monthly calendar. I wanted this quadrant thing, and I even mapped out a mini quadrant here. First page, master task list, and then the quadrant. I love the master task list because it's essentially a brain dump. That's all it is, of all the stuff that's on your mind that needs to get done or be released into the universe this week. And then the quadrant, I saw this on Simi Ariarte's channel. They had goals, reflection, thoughts, and notes. The quadrant did not work out, which kind of surprised me, but that's because I transitioned to something else. I added in a week in review about halfway through the month, and I just picked it up because this was one from last week. It was it was 2 pages. And I really like reflecting on my week in this way. I also, because I'm journaling basically a day at a time, I wanted 3 pages for this, then I could have used it. I love that customizability, and this is how in my brain reflecting on the week goes. I talked about my highs and my lows, and the week before was like a big discovery week. Like I found new music and new shows and new books. So that was something I put in the week before as reflection. And then this one was just more about like my thoughts and getting out how like I'm feeling about stuff, which is exactly what works. So I bring up all of this to say is that I didn't start with the front matter of like the index or the key or the future log or whatever. I just started daily logging. That to me is such an accessible way to enter planning. One day at a time, entering stuff in as it comes up. You have a bullet, like you have a master task list on one side, and then you can just start your week on the other side. Master task list, week. And I think that's a really, really easy way to enter this for the first time, and also to start to get into the practice of opening up your planner and coming into it every day. That is something that you cannot get with a regular planner. So not only do you have the customizability that you can have this look however you want, but you also can like really quickly and easily set this up. You can start bullet journaling with any book you have. This was a blank art journal. Not blank, this is not a dot grid notebook like is most common. It's just blank pages. It's already like a quarter filled, maybe 30% filled, and I just grabbed it and started. You can start with any notebook. If you have a notebook and a pen, you can bullet journal. The flexibility of bullet journaling is the most wonderful thing about it. The weekly spreads and, kind of creating it as I go, taking up as much space as I need. If that doesn't work for you, you get to create your own setup that does work for you. And you get to iterate every week or every month. Or if you find something on the first go or the second go and it works for you, you get to keep that for however long you want to bullet journal. So many people talk about how bullet journaling is like a failure or doesn't work. I think that can be the case if you are hyper-focused on the art of it. To create weekly spreads, if I was doing all this art, my God, that would be so time consuming, and I don't enjoy art. If you enjoy art, could be a perfect way to start integrating art and practicing it, and maybe can make your experience more joyful. Let's not talk about the consumption part of it. This, as I mentioned, is the most accessible way to start planning. And it's the ultimate use what you have productivity method. I'm going to link several videos of people who have started bullet journaling on lined or ruled notebooks. If you have a big notebook, small, doesn't matter the size, you can bullet journal as well. If I didn't have this, I would have started on a ruled notebook. This is just like what I had on hand. I also don't own a ruler, which is like an essential item for a lot of people. And I just use library cards. Like I have a old library card from a city I don't live in anymore. And I use it to make lines on my page. And you could also do that with like old, like credit card shaped items. Old credit cards or reward cards, perfectly fine. If you have pens, use what you got. I also have some like Crayola markers from an old art adventure and some micron pens that I use. Those are the only supplies that I use, and the only time I use color is to make those lines like the lines for the week, which you don't even need to have. And if I did not have a black micron pen, then I would have just used my regular pen or perhaps like the black Crayola marker. Even if you said, you know what, I do want to buy new things for my planner, the 50 pack of Crayola markers, which you don't need, but I'm saying like if you wanted to like splurge, 50 pack of Crayola markers, a 2 pack of microns because they do come in a pen, like a pack, and like a pack of midliners. Again, a really popular, pen. Those 3 things are going to cost you under $30. Also, if you need a book, you could get one real cheap. I got mine for $7 at Walmart. This was like when I wanted to art journal. I just bought like the cheapest thing that I could. I wasn't super concerned about paper quality. What do I know about paper quality? When I'm doing it for the first time. You can spend under $30 and get some supplies that will last you freaking eons. Now you might be thinking, well, Shauna, you could basically do the same thing with a regular planner. You don't need to buy any supplies. You're right. You could just buy yourself a planner like the one that I have here, and you can use just a plain old pen that you already have, or just use the supplies that you already have. Maybe you have an old highlighter hanging around, whatever. My opinion, the bullet journaling method, flexibility aside, you're still going to need to buy a journal or a planner to participate in planning. So it's still cheaper to use a bullet journal method because you can use whatever you have. If you have a notebook of any size, you can use what you have. But I do think that the temptation for buying all of the accoutrements is way stronger in traditional planners than with a bullet journal. The kind of pull that people have on like buying stuff with bullet journals is pretty typically art supplies. If you're not an artist or you're not like a drawer or creative person, that pull isn't really going to be there. And I do feel like the greatest pull you'll have will be for some like highlighters and pens. I think overconsuming is far more likely or prominent in the planner space because of how dominant stickers are. You watch a planner video, almost always stickers in there. You can't really get away from that. And it makes you want to buy it too. I was watching these videos and I want to buy stickers for a while, and I don't even own any of these planners that you could put stickers in. Large sticker collections and large sticker supplies are wildly common. They haul new releases all the time, new planners, new stickers, and they showcase new products all the time too. When Bujo people are working on their Bujo, they might be like, oh yeah, I bought these new Tombow pens or whatever. But often like the new supplies isn't the thing of notice. It's like the design or like a new design that they're doing. That is the thing that they're doing. And it's much easier, in my opinion, to use what you have if you want to participate in drawing or like mimic somebody's designs. Before I started my experiment, my main concern was that seeing all of these artistically skilled people work on their bujos, I thought that it was going to affect my desire to bullet journal, or perhaps make me feel kind of shitty about my own skills. I also was worried that like my lack of skills would make me not want to bullet journal. This is this week, right? This is not particularly aesthetic or cute. She's not. But what I've come to learn is that bullet journaling is so practical, none of the other stuff matters. And what I do like is that I have been practicing or learning calligraphy off and on for 2 years. I get the opportunity to practice my calligraphy. This is like a little quote from like a song that I was listening to. It's not good calligraphy, but I get to practice it, which is so fun. So I was surprised to learn how much the functionality of bullet journaling outweighed the artistic components or worries of bullet journaling. I think when planners get bored, that's when they're buying new supplies and new stickers. When bullet journaling, I realized that having a novel experience gives me an excitement that you would get when you're buying something to cure boredom. It's the having the novel experience that is exciting. And if I have a novel experience, which is something that I can basically like artificially create for myself, I can create novel experiences that keeps me excited and keeps me interested. So I can generate a similar feeling without buying anything. I think why this is true for me is because when you are buying something new, it's novel, and it's the novelty that makes the thing exciting. So if you create novelty in other ways that's not buying stuff, then you can still feel those similar levels of excitement, which is exactly what has happened. If you try bullet journaling, then you can figure out like what novelty will bring you excitement. Last week, I tried a pre-filled layout. So I had my task dump here, and then I had I put in the lines and the dates. That was novel. I hated it, and I will never do it again. Lesson learned. it was a novel experience. This week, I did not do the task dump, and I did a top priorities novel experience. You can create novelty with lettering differently, using new colors, trying different layouts, adding in, I don't know, like quote sections. Like there's so many ways that you could add in novelty that it keeps things fresh and exciting. So that was my video. That was my take on bullet journaling. I would love to hear your thoughts. Have you bullet journaled? What do you think about it? Did my video entice you at all to give it a try? Well, let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching and hanging out with me today. I hope you'll return here soon for some exciting new content starting Wednesday. If you watched Friday's video, then you know exactly what's coming on Wednesday. If not, go watch the video. Okay, that's it. Bye.
I think there's an either